laughing, but his penetrating eyes always seemed somewhat disjointed and out of sync with his cheerful demeanor. A few years later, Happy would become known by the gang underworld as Alfie. When I became a Mexican Mafia member in 1970, Alfie was already made. On December 7th, 1971, Alfie Sosa participated in the first Mexican Mafia internal hit. Alfonso Apache Alvarez from Primera Flats was shot to death in Monterey Park by Alfie and a fellow EME member by the name of Ernest Kilroy Roybal.
Hey, yeah, Mundo actually talks about murders he was a part of. He's a Christian now, and he repented. You know, he dropped out when he was in his mid-30s, like 34 or something. And so he's 70, so he's been out of it for so long. But he talks about the fact that he murdered a lot of people. He's the one who actually made Alfie Sosa insane and a homicidal maniac, you know?
Apache
He's the most
had
prolific
fallen from
killer in the
grace
Mexican
with the
Mafia.
fellas,
The
primarily
most
because
prolific.
he failed to materialize with a crew at the San Bernardino County Courthouse to undertake the escape of EME member Richard Mosca Solis, who was on trial for the stabbing of a Chino prison guard. Pachi's hit would also become the Mexican Mafia's second street homicide. This was Alfie's first homicide committed on behalf of the EME. There would be many more to come in his inglorious criminal career. In 1975, the prison floodgates opened under Senate Bill 42. When I urged him to start the car, he said he was tired of driving, and I had to give him my word that next time he would be the pistolero, the shooter. I looked at him in disbelief, and for a quick moment considered blowing him away. I looked at Sailor in the back seat. Is this vato serious? Or something to that effect is what I asked. Sailor looked at me intently, urgently communicating we had to get out of Dodge. And he said, I think he's serious.
They were on a hit.
2 dead bodies about a dozen feet from us, the sound of police sirens approaching, and Alfie is pouting like a chavalito. I quickly gave in. Okay, next time you're the pistolero. Now move. He smiled, kicked it into gear, and said, that's what I'm talking about.
So Alfie, they were on a hit, and Mundo was the one who did the killings. And Alfie was so emotionally distressed that he refused to pull off after these murders were committed. So they're like, yo, we can hear the police sirens. We got to get out of Dodge. And Alfie's like, yo, I'm not going nowhere till you promise me I'm going to be the one pulling the trigger next time. So Alfie was a homicidal maniac.
Crime scene, a sailor breathed a sigh of relief and ducked out of sight, lying in the back seat. Chiquito pero picoso is Spanish for small but spicy. That was Alfie Sosa. All
right, now here's another part that I want to talk about. He was questionable because people assumed that he snitched, and he admitted to it, but he actually made it funny. So there was a false story out there for years that Alfie Sosa wrote down the name of Mickey Rooney when he was writing down all the people that he was snitching on. But really, he gave up information, I think, on top members, but he told the EME, the Mexican Mafia, no, when they tried to interview me, I wrote down Mickey Rooney. And everybody believed him because he was official, because he was catching so many bodies. I mean, he's the most prolific killer in Mexican Mafia history.
At the age of 6,
hold on,
about Alfie's confession, was nearly laughed out of the courtroom. At the end of the day, it was the task force who had the last laugh when Alfie pleaded guilty to several counts of murder on his own. I think I told him what he wanted to hear. He turned to the jail where a Mexican investigator produced a list of suspected homicide victims. A list provided by members of the PGTF, the Prison Gang Task Force. Alfie was instructed to initial next to each homicide victim. Then they told him to sign at the bottom. Before doing so, he offered an additional homicide victim they had overlooked. The Mexican agents got excited and directed him to write in this victim's name. Alfie carefully and clearly printed the name Mickey Rooney. Alfie placed his initials next to the write-in name, then signed his full name at the bottom of the page. A stroke of brilliance, as the career criminal mind never rests. This is probably my favorite Alfie Sosa story. Alfie and I busted out laughing on the visiting room phone, as this in effect made a joke out of the so-called confession, since we knew that Mickey Rooney was a popular U.S. actor who was alive and well at that time. The Mexican guys had no clue he was pulling a fast one on them.
So yeah, man. So the reason why they were so quick to believe his story without further investigation, because like EME is very investigative. They investigate you before they'll kill you if you're part of the organization. And another thing is he fooled them because he was a big time killer. So I guess they figured, why would he snitch? He got all the bodies. So yeah, man, Alfie Sosa boy, and Mundo, like I said, he's in his 70s. He talks about murders he committed. He committed a lot of murders, and he's open about that. So I can't do nothing but salute him, man. Peace.